The whispers of the angels urge us to pay attention to the housing crisis that is silently affecting so many. Ignoring it is not an option. We must unite to create solutions before it spirals further out of control. Angels are imploring us to recognize the urgency of the housing situation. Every day we delay action, countless individuals and families are left vulnerable, lost in a system that fails to protect them. As we navigate our lives, let us not forget the plight of those without a home. The angels remind us that our strength lies in community and compassion. It is time to advocate for housing justice. In the soft glow of angelic light, we are reminded that shelter is a basic human right. The message is clear. If we ignore this critical issue, we risk the well-being of future generations. The angels call us to rise up and take action against the injustices of housing inequality. We cannot remain passive while our neighbors suffer. It's time to listen and respond with urgency. Hear the angel's message. The housing crisis is not just a statistic, but a reality for many. Each number represents a family, a child, a dream deferred. We must act before it's too late. Angels are guiding us toward awareness and responsibility regarding housing. Ignoring the signs will only deepen the crisis, but together we can pave the way for meaningful change. As we close our eyes and listen to the divine, we hear a resounding call to action. The angels urge us to engage with the housing issue, for inaction leads to despair for those in need. In the stillness of our hearts, we can feel the angels pushing us to confront uncomfortable truths about housing instability. We are all connected, and when one suffers, we all suffer. The angels remind us that we have the power to change lives through our choices and actions. By prioritizing housing issues, we honor the dignity of every individual and uphold the spirit of humanity. Ignoring the housing crisis is like turning a blind eye to a fire raging in our community. The angels plead with us to recognize the urgency and extinguish the flames of despair before they spread. In the embrace of angelic guidance, we find clarity. The message is simple. Housing security is fundamental to our well-being. We must advocate for those whose voices are often unheard. The angels tell us that true prosperity is measured not by wealth, but by the security of our homes. If we neglect this critical issue, we jeopardize the very fabric of our society. Each time we choose to overlook the housing crisis, we distance ourselves from our purpose. The angels encourage us to reconnect with our mission of compassion and support for those in need. In moments of reflection, the angels remind us of the stories behind the statistics. Every eviction, every foreclosure carries the weight of human lives. Let us be their advocates before it's too late. The call from the angels is clear. The time for action is now. We must address the critical housing issue that threatens so many lives and futures. Together, we can make a difference. Angels remind us that housing is not just a roof over our heads, it's a foundation for dreams and aspirations. Ignoring this crisis denies countless individuals their chance at a better life. In the celestial realm, there is a deep concern for those impacted by housing instability. The angels urge us to listen closely and respond with kindness and urgency. As we gaze into the future, the angels caution us against complacency. The housing issue is a ticking clock, and we must act decisively to turn back time for those who have lost so much. Every angelic whisper calls for unity and action against the injustices of housing insecurity. Let us not ignore the signs. Together we can create lasting change for those in need. The angels shine their light on the housing crisis, urging us to see the truth behind the statistics. Let compassion guide us to take steps towards justice for every family affected. In the warmth of angelic love, we are reminded that everyone deserves a place to call home. Ignoring the housing crisis is a disservice to our shared humanity. Let us take action. The message from the angels is a reminder that our communities thrive when everyone has access to safe and affordable housing. We must not allow this critical issue to be overlooked. With every plea from the angels, we are reminded that we have a responsibility to advocate for those struggling with housing. We cannot turn away. Our future depends on our actions today. Angels guide us toward understanding that housing is a right, not a privilege. Let us stand together to challenge the status quo and create a world where everyone has a place to live. The angels implore us to confront the reality of homelessness and housing instability. We have the power to change lives. We must not ignore the message they bring. In the quiet moments, the angels call for our attention to the critical housing issue. Ignoring it only deepens the crisis. But together we can build a brighter, more equitable future. The gentle reminders from the angels inspire us to stand up for those who feel invisible in our communities. Housing justice is a vital part of our collective mission to uplift one another. As we reflect on our blessings, the angels urge us to remember those who are struggling with housing. We have the ability to affect change, and now is the time to act. With each message from the angels, we gain clarity on the importance of addressing the housing crisis. Let us unite our voices and efforts to advocate for change before it's too late. The angels call us to open our hearts and minds to the housing issue. Ignoring it would be a grave mistake, as every individual deserves the dignity of a safe and secure home. In the face of adversity, the angels inspire us to rise and take action for those facing housing instability. We have the power to create change. Let us not ignore this call. Angels illuminate the path toward housing justice, urging us to take a stand against inequality. Our collective efforts can lead to meaningful solutions for those in need. The message from the angels resonates with urgency. We must address the housing crisis before it consumes our communities. Together, we can forge a brighter future. In the depths of despair, the angels remind us that hope is possible. By confronting the housing issue, we can restore faith and security for countless families. Every angelic whisper calls us to take action against the injustices of housing instability. Our efforts can create a ripple effect of change, ensuring everyone has a place to call home. The angels remind us that our actions today shape the future of housing for generations to come. We must not ignore this critical issue. It demands our immediate attention. In moments of reflection, we can hear the angels urging us to take a stand for those affected by housing insecurity. Together, we can create a world where everyone has a safe place to live. The angels shine a light on the importance of housing as a fundamental right. If we ignore this crisis, we risk deepening the suffering of those in our communities. Each message from the angels serves as a reminder that we are all connected. By addressing the housing issue, we honor our shared humanity and the dignity of every individual. The call from the angels is not just a reminder, but a plea for compassion. We must act now to ensure that everyone has access to safe and affordable housing. Angels illuminate the path of change, urging us to confront the housing crisis head-on. Ignoring it is not an option. We have a responsibility to advocate for those in need. The whispers of the angels remind us that housing is a foundation for stability and success. By addressing this critical issue, we can empower individuals and families to thrive. In the embrace of angelic love, we are encouraged to listen and respond to the urgent housing crisis. Our actions can bring hope to those who have been overlooked for too long. Every angelic message calls us to recognize the humanity behind the housing issue. By standing together, we can ensure that everyone has the opportunity to live with dignity. The angels remind us that true wealth is measured by our compassion for others. Ignoring the housing crisis contradicts the values we hold dear as a community. In the face of adversity, the angels call upon us to be the change makers. We must address the housing issue to create a brighter future for all. With each message from the angels, we are inspired to take action against housing injustice. Our collective efforts can make a difference in the lives of those in need. The angels illuminate the path to housing justice, reminding us that we have the power to create lasting change. Let us not ignore their call. The time is now. In the stillness of our hearts, we hear the angels urging us to confront the harsh realities of housing instability. We must stand together to advocate for those who cannot speak for themselves. Every angelic whisper carries a message of hope and urgency. The housing crisis is a call to action, and we must not ignore the signs of despair around us. The angels remind us that housing security is essential for a thriving community. Together, we can work to ensure that every individual has a safe place to call home.